Muy buenos días para todos. Ay, Dios, soy yo. Muy buenos días. Un segundo, probando. Aló. Aló. ¿Me oyen claro y fuerte o me oyen con eco? Hola, buenos días para todos. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos en... Listo. Perfecto. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy, nuestro segundo gran día. Estamos súper emocionados, súper contentos. Nos han acompañado de 58 países. Jamás en la historia habíamos hecho un evento tan grande de esta magnitud. Entonces, de verdad, muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos. Nos va a dar nuestras palabras de bienvenida a nuestro presidente. Y ayer, bueno, estábamos aprendiendo con la plataforma, pero ya todo quedó solucionado. Entonces esperemos que hoy todo fluya más. And for the English speaking people, please just where written schedule, you can go to schedule and then you will find the sessions that will be in English. You can already check the recorded ones. And then once this one, for example, that is in English will be recorded and then we will go to the next session. Hola Gustavo, bienvenido, ¿cómo estás?
¿Qué tal, Camila? Muy bien. Buenos días a todos. ¿No? Un momentito. ¿Ahora se escucha?
No te oímos.
¿No? Uy, pues lo tengo encendido.
A ver, lo vuelvo a conectar. ¿Ustedes sí lo oyen? Ay, yo no.
Sí, parece que sí. Vale, perfecto. Pues no te preocupes,
ya.
Camila.
¿Sí? Perfecto.
Pues nada, buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. Que hay quien también nos está viendo desde lugares muy lejanos. Pues desde luego, de agradecerles una vez más que se hayan querido incorporar, que quieran estar con nosotros. Esperamos que la jornada de ayer haya sido productiva. Desde luego para nosotros sí que lo ha sido. Hemos tenido unas ponencias magníficas, espectaculares, que nos han dado muchísima información. Hoy continuamos con el mismo número de ponencias, también algunas en español, otras en inglés, como ha señalado Camila. Y en cualquier caso, para todos aquellos que entendemos que tal vez sea difícil estar 5 horas permanentemente ante la pantalla, aunque estamos todos en casa, como ya ha señalado Camila, van a tener al menos durante 24 horas las grabaciones de cada una de las ponencias para volver a consultarlas. Y en cualquier caso, hoy, al terminar la jornada, tanto María Camila como yo haremos una ponencia, digamos, de conclusiones. Así que esperamos que puedan atender a todas las presentaciones, son todas interesantísimas, pero cuenten con que también al final intentaremos sacar los bullet points, la información más relevante y las conclusiones de estas productivas jornadas. Por lo tanto, yo ya les dejo para que disfruten de nuestras ponencias. Agradecer una vez más a María Camila, que además de ser nuestra directora ejecutiva, la moderadora, conductora de todo este evento, es nuestra experta en IT, ya lo demostró ayer. de verdad, imagínense todos desde su casa en la situación en la que nos encontramos, sin mayor ayuda que uno mismo, y haber solventado ayer los pequeños problemas hasta conseguir que fuera el evento con toda fluidez. Así que muchas gracias, Camila, y que tengan una tarde muy productiva. Nos vemos al final de las ponencias para las conclusiones. Un fuerte abrazo.
Mil gracias, Gustavo. Vamos a dar inicio entonces ahora con Douglas. Quien ya nos está acompañando. Hello, Douglas. How are you?
Hello, Camila. How are you? Thanks. I'm good.
Fine, thank you. Looking forward for this second day that we're becoming more used to this IT technology.
I heard it went very well yesterday.
Yeah. At the beginning we had some problems with. Meanwhile, I checked all the technical things, but now we're doing perfectly. So we have people from 58 countries, 190 cities around the world. So we're really, really excited about our event. I have to be 200% honest. I was expecting a lot of people, but not this much people. So we're very, very, very.
Yeah, well done. Great job.
So the floor is yours. You can share your screen. You know how to share your screen?
Yes, I get it. Yeah. Here we go.
Perfect. So I'll leave you with the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope everybody can hear me very well. Welcome, good morning, buenos dias a todos. I will be speaking English. My presentation, my name is Douglas van der Berghe. I'm Vice President, Conway Advisory, and I'll have a presentation for you, which we already provided actually yesterday or the day before yesterday, and it was about 7 winning strategies for a world-class free zone program. This is a presentation that took more than 45 minutes, and we had lots of questions and answers. So I will only skip through some of the most important elements and components of the presentation. And definitely you will have my contact details to ask questions per email. I do think we have 5 minutes of Q&A after the presentation. So happy to answer some of your questions. Okay, Conway is, I think most of you know Conway. It's a large advisory firm, but it also publishes, it has its monthly publication or quarterly publication, Side Section Magazine. We are part of the advisory division and focus on free zone advisory and foreign direct investment. The company is quite some years old, and our main offices are spread around the world. We have offices in Berlin, Boston, Shanghai, and obviously our head office is based in Atlanta. So let me briefly address, before we move into the 7 winning strategies and go into the impact of what we're all seeing related to the Corona crisis or COVID-19. I think that's also one of the key topics of this online forum. And I do think if I don't pay any attention to this, I'm sort of withholding some of the trends that we see. We have a lot of contact to our corporate clients as well, who invest in different parts of the world. So we're able to provide some good anecdotal and testimonial evidence of what we see in the market. But I think if you look at the main numbers, and we use some data from UNCTAD, and I'm sure you have seen some of the recent publications of UNCTAD in its investment monitor. Initially, UNCTAD predicted an increase of 5% of global FDI inflows, but a recent report on the 26th of March based on the outbreak showed a dramatic shrink of 30 to 40%, which is quite high, and obviously the impact will be felt differently across different industries. I think it is no surprise that the airline industry will suffer, the energy industry, also due to the decline of oil and gas prices, but also the automotive industry will see a substantial decline in foreign direct investment. Having said that, I think there's a number of trends that we will see which will affect free zones. Just two of them to highlight them, because it's not the topic of this presentation. You will see much more companies that will focus on supply chain risks and minimizing those supply chain risks. And how will they do so? In the short term, they will most likely start to produce or manufacture closer to the market in which they sell their products or their services. In the long term, you would most likely see that they will start to increase the application and the use of automation, robotics, advanced manufacturing, all those components that you see in the Industry 4.0 trend that is taking place. So definitely automation, advanced manufacturing, which will replace machines, replace jobs by machines. Other trends that you will see, for instance, in some industries like healthcare and pharma, which are typically the rising industries. So it's not only doom and gloom, you also see some positive effects, but you will see that they will increasingly also apply regional and even domestic production and more storage. So they will increase the products, the medical products, the pharmaceutical products, which they have in their warehouses in order to be more in control. They don't want to be fully dependent on foreign markets for their production of the products. This is typically what you see. A lot of the countries that have been affected by COVID-19 are looking at alternatives for their supply of medical goods, which ranges from medical goods and services in hospitals, but also the immediate respiratory machines that are necessary to help the victims of COVID-19. And if that's outsourced to countries like China and India, it's too far away. So you probably see that these industries, within those industries, you'll see a trend towards domestic or regional production. With governments, and this is a typical impact that you will see, is prediction is that most governments will start to invest in their economy. They will create stimulus and recovery packages, which means that they will have less appetite for principles of revenue forgone. They will be reluctant to provide big financial incentive packages that you will need within your free zone to attract investors. And this is something that will definitely happen over the next 5 to 10 years. So governments will be less reluctant to give you the tools and the instruments which you've been using over the last 10 years to attract or to entice foreign investors to set up their activities within your free zone. So you need to take that into account, which means for a free zone that you need to look beyond those fiscal and financial incentives and provide more services to foreign investors. So imagine your free zone without incentives. The future of your free zone or industrial park, whether it's a free zone service or manufacturing or services, imagine that it's out there without the financial or fiscal incentives that you have today. That is a good point of departure, and see where its competitive advantages and why companies may potentially invest in your free zone. Having said that, let's move to the 7 free zone strategies. I think one of the things that I would like to highlight is that Industry 4.0, regardless of what's taking place with COVID-19 and the coronavirus, this is a typical trend that will have a huge impact on many of the free zones. And it will also have an impact on the way businesses structure investment or location decisions. They'll be looking for different requirements. Talent is becoming critical. They would also look at places and free zones that are closely located to where high talent or highly capable or highly educated people would want to live and combine their living and working life. R&D spending, support for training and talent development will typically be components of a location decision by a company. And companies, as with many of the R&D related activities, they would look for building strategic partnership and collaboration agreements. Another point that we can highlight is, given the decline in foreign direct investment, which I highlighted here, you may understand, you may be aware of the fact that FDI or Greenfield FDI is not the only vehicle or instrument to expand across borders. So you will probably see it's also the most, FDI is also the most risk-sensitive form of international expansion by companies. So you'd probably see that companies will look for other instruments to explore foreign markets, to sell their products and services. So they will look at strategic partnerships, joint ventures, or trading their goods from other markets to your markets. So that will have an increase as well, or cross-border mergers and acquisitions. So that's a positive trend, which you will see. Okay, let me highlight some 7 winning strategies of a world-class free zone program. We have 7 of them, which we've defined. And this program has been basically been put together by a team of advisors that have been working with many free zones around the world for the last 5 to 10 years. And this is what we've seen that many successful free zones actually have. They have these components. Some of them have put a greater emphasis, for instance, on marketing and creating awareness of the free zones, and others have focused much more on typical research. But this is what we've seen, this is what we've learned over the last 5 to 10 years as components of a world-class free zone program. Leadership and training is one of them, to make sure you have strong leadership, you have training of your staff, you have training of your the staff that are working in the offices or production facilities of your tenants. Research is a critical component. Understanding what drives company decisions, or understanding the changes that are taking place in other free zones, or understanding how incentives can best be used in attracting investors. Planning and strategy is important. Stakeholder engagement, marketing and awareness, knowledge management, business process, intelligence and performance. I will focus on just 3 of them, and we've actually highlighted these 7 strategies in this presentation, which I'm sure you will get a copy of. We've provided the context and some of the solutions and some of the examples of free zones that have successfully adopted those strategies. Let me go to one of the strategies that I definitely want to highlight, is strategy 3. Most free zones the most relevant free zones and successful free zones need to keep up to date with trends in sustainability, Industry 4.0, and innovation. And it's important to see what the impact is. For instance, we've done some assessments with free zones to understand how Industry 4.0 affects some of the key industries that they would like to attract. And based on that, or based on that analysis, or based on some analysis that other free zones have done, they have a better understanding how the industry requirements and needs to invest abroad have changed, and how they can actually better adopt their strategies to attract those types of industries. So to make sure that their free zone provides the necessary services to attract those type of industries. A good example is Dubai Silicon Oasis and DAFSA in the UAE, in Dubai. They've been successful in creating good ecosystems and to foster innovation, and they've developed different technologies. JAFSA is also a good example. They have a mobile app. JAFSA is in Jebel Ali Free Zone Authority, Jebel Ali based in the UAE as well. It's one of the biggest port free zones. They, for instance, have a mobile app for incident reporting. They've also worked with a number of Industry 4.0 components, where they have drones to supervise construction and some of the activities taking place. These are just some straightforward and simple examples of how some of these free zones have adopted the strategy, or future innovation and Industry 4.0 components. Strategy 4, what we've also seen is that when we work with some of our clients, is that they reach out to international investors and try to promote their free zone towards international investors, but some of the investors don't even know where the free zone is located exactly. So it's important to understand that your free zone is located within a specific country, and its competitiveness of the free zone depends on the competitiveness and the ease of doing business in your country. A free zone is not an island. It operates within a country. So you need to be sure that you are able to market that appropriately. We've also seen some of the free zones that have not adopted some of the digital marketing strategies. And although many of the free zones say they have a website, they have LinkedIn, they have all the social media tools at their disposal, we've seen that some of these, is it really a digital marketing strategy? And how digital are you as a free zone? Is it really that you connect with some of the companies? So there is a lot to be said about marketing and promotion strategies. And are you, for instance, targeting the right sectors and the right investors within those sectors? So tailoring that much more to the exact needs that you will have as a free zone is very critical. Good examples: the Dominican Republic. It has specifically included some of the free zone or some of the competitive components of the business environment of the DR. It works very closely with some of the national authorities, and that brings me to some of the next points here. Strategy 5 is stakeholder engagement. All of your free zones don't work in isolation. Attracting FDI is a team effort. So you would have to work as a team. You would have to be connected to some of the ministries, to some of the other institutions, and be closely connected to some of the investment promotion agencies. Often we see that there is not good communication. The National Investment Promotion Agency is not aware of all the companies already operating in the free zone. So it's important to work very closely together and keep that dialogue going, sharing the experiences you have, sharing some of the investors, and making sure that if the IPA travels around the world and sells your proposition, they introduce your free zone to some of the investors. It's important that, for instance, the National IPA introduces clients or potential clients of your free zone to your free zone once they are visiting your country. So you need to be sure that you are on the radar screen of all those institutions and you work together. And if you, for instance, have a one-stop shop, you need to be sure that you have all the institutions integrated within your one-stop shop and that they are committed. Another mechanism to improve stakeholder engagement is to actually publish an annual report and to communicate to the government, but also to other companies or other institutions within your country of the benefits of your free zone and the success and the achievements you've made. A good example is Coyol Free Zone in Costa Rica. They work very, very closely with CINDE, the National Investment Promotion Agency, and they share all their prospects. They make sure the CINDE and the IPA have all their marketing materials at hand, and they keep them up to date. They have regular visits with to the offices, and they share their clients and share some of the prospects. For the sake of time, I can only address knowledge management and aftercare. Aftercare as a strategy is very important these days as well, especially nowadays where you probably see new investments drying up, but definitely have still your existing investor base. So reach out to them, see what their plans are, see how you can help them, see how you can capitalize on some of their future plans to increase the investments that they already have planned, or maybe they are postponing them, and see how you can help them. It's important. You have your CRM systems. Sorry about this. Dubai Airport Free Zone also has a good example of a CRM system that they use for their aftercare activities. I have to wrap up here, given the time that I have. These are the 7 components of a world-class free zone program. What we offer to attendees of the webinars that we have provided this week, and including this one, is a free zone diagnostic, a free free zone diagnostic assessment. We would go through some of these components and give you a better understanding of where you stand in terms of all those 7 strategies, and where some of the strengths are and where some of the weaknesses are, and where you have challenges and where you can potentially improve, for instance, your market outreach or your stakeholder engagement. It's a questionnaire that we go through with your senior management. We'd be able to make a very quick assessment of a quick scan of the strength of your free zone. Obviously, in our program, we have different services that we provide. We have an extensive free zone training program for free zone professionals that we roll out across the world, and we've already provided to quite a large number of free zones. So happy to discuss. These are some of the components of our free zone training program. This is our team, and for your information, we have another webinar coming up, sorry about this, in a 25 or 35 minutes, which is a Conway webinar about the global recovery. Thank you for listening. I believe it's time now to for some Q&A sessions.
Thank you, Douglas.
Shall I stop sharing the screen?
Okay, perfect. So we have one question from London. Very interested to hear about the role that free zones can play in the development of renewable energy projects.
That's a good one. I think what exactly is meant with renewable energy projects is it domestic renewable energy projects or locally. Let's keep it broad, and renewable energy projects in a specific country, I presume.
I guess.
Yeah. First of all, I think with renewable energy, it's a specific market. The requirements of investors towards attracting renewable energy projects are quite strict, now quite tight. They're looking at different options. So it's necessary to at least have the incentives in place that are important for renewable energy. I think there is no example throughout the world, especially in the EU, for instance, where renewable energy sectors have not been incentivized or subsidized. Think about Germany, think about France, or even the Netherlands, where solar energy or even wind energy has been heavily subsidized. So in order to do that, you need and attract some of those companies to start building on your renewable energy industry. You need to provide the incentives, the tax incentives or the training type of incentives. Those are very critical. It's a heavy capitalized type of industry. It's very capital intense and less labor intense. So it's important to focus on incentives that incentivize capital as well as R&D spending, because it's in heavy capitalized and R&D type of industry.
Perfect. Thank you, Douglas. I have another question. How can be supported the flow of the goods into free zones in Latin America due to the current crisis?
How can it support the flow of goods into the trade zone due to current crisis? I think the logistics is an important component, and what is necessary is you should have the trade agreements in place that support the flow of goods towards some of the free zones. What we often see is that a free zone cannot import goods and services from the domestic market. So I think it's important to make sure that the domestic market principle in terms of your free zone legislation is included. So that's one of the things that can be done.
Perfect. To everyone, due to the time constraint, because in a summit, so these are power talks of 20 minutes each, Douglas did an excellent presentation 2 days ago. I have the complete presentation, or you can contact me directly so that they can see your complete presentation of the 7 winning strategies into detail, Douglas. If you allow me, I will send them the link.
Yes, I will. You can use this one because I prepared this specifically for this conference. It contains everything that we presented before. So I will send you a PDF version. I think you have it already.
Yeah.
Which can be shared to the audience. Okay. thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Camila, for facilitating this. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Sticking on the time. Thank you. Bye. Bueno, acá seguimos. Les voy a contar algo que ayer no estaba muy determinado, pero que ya lo tengo controlado. Y es que en la parte superior izquierda, una vez se acabe cada una de las presentaciones, queda grabada. Entonces, para el que siga o de pronto que no puedan verlo, la repetición va a estar 24 horas. Pueden entrar al link donde dice Schedule y ver la presentación que quieran ver, y la que está en vivo les va a aparecer con un botoncito rojo. ¿Ok? Para todos. Esas son las memorias del evento. Tienen 24 horas para volver a ver los videos. Ok, bueno, ya voy a ajustar el micrófono. ¿Qué va a pasar? Esta pantalla se va a achicar y vamos a ir al siguiente webinar. ¿Ok?